Hey YouTube universe, thank you for stopping by here at Comic Rema once again. This is going to be a contest entry for Mike at Jam on Vinyl over there, and he's having this great contest where he's asked us to show 5 albums or 5 songs that deal with the theme in history. And then he also asked a bonus question. So I've been in this kind of mind state where I've been reading and meditating a lot on the civil rights movement. And let me show you a couple of books that I recommend for you guys to go ahead and read. Of course, it's a classic. And I'm going to recommend 2 comics. This is March 1 by John Lewis, who I believe he's a congressman. Anyway, he shares his life about his experiences in the civil rights movement. He also has this one out, March Book 2, and there's also March Book 3. So it's kind of like a trilogy where he just shares his experiences in the civil rights movement. This one goes a little bit more behind the scenes of what's going on and what happened in the civil rights movement. So I chose these 5 albums, and hopefully you guys can check them out at some time. And Mike, so the first one I'm gonna show here is this great album by Max Roach. This is We Insist, the Freedom Now Suite. Amazing, beautiful album. This is a reissue, of course. You can see kind of like the players in this album who are there. This is a jazz album, but there is some vocals in it. Great album. The cover of this album references the sit-in movement that happened during the civil rights movement. So that's a direct reference to what was going on in the times. The tracks on this album, we have on the side A, we have Drive On Man, we have Freedom Day, we have Triptych, Prayer, Protest, Peace. And on the B side, we have All Africa, we have Tears for Johannesburg, and we have Oh Yeah, Oh Yeah. It's a beautiful, heartfelt album. And Mike, since you're a drummer as well as I am, you'll definitely, if you haven't heard this, you'll definitely enjoy this album. It's heavy on percussion. I know Alex and Motoric 24/7 just did a video on amazing percussion albums. I would include this. I was going to include this in my video that I'm going to be posting for that. But go ahead and check this out. Great album. And this was actually Max Roach with Brown composed this album, a lot of the songs on here. And what they thought of was it was a centennial for the Emancipation Proclamation. And it was released 1960 is when this record was released. So definitely check that out. Heavily influenced civil rights movement record. Number 1. The second album that I'm gonna use for the civil rights movement theme is John Coltrane's Live at Birdland. On this record, Coltrane has a song called Alabama. I know Bill used this song for his entry. So I'm also going to be using, since I'm using the theme the civil rights movement. And it's more than just civil rights movement, actually. This movement was more about human rights, human as a people. Just given giving human rights to all people in our country. That's what this was. It was about a fight for integrity and for just human rights for all people. So this is John Coltrane, song Alabama, very well known, very emotional. This was released in 1963, and on September 15th of 1963, the KKK bombed a church in Alabama. So Coltrane was definitely impacted by that, and he wrote that song Alabama for that. It's it's very heartfelt. Actually, young children died in that bombing, and prosecutions did not happen until 1977. So terrible, so terrible. Another album that I have is this collection of the voices of the civil rights movement, and you'll love this, Mike, because this is on Folkways, and you can see the track list there. And this is the Black American freedom songs. This is kind of like the little booklet that comes with it, and inside gives you a little bit more inside information. I haven't been able to go ahead and read the whole booklet, but amazing stuff. A lot of information and background on this. I heard this album back in the early 2000s, and maybe I listened to it maybe a couple of times since then. So I'm hoping to give it another listen in the month of February, and yeah. So this album is mostly, not mostly, but it's heavily influenced with the spiritual side of the civil rights movement. So there's a lot of church songs. I believe most of the recordings of these were in gatherings and in church gatherings where people just were singing those songs to empower them, to heal them, and to be encouraged. The next album I have is Mavis Staples, Living on a High Note. And actually, Mavis Staples, she actually walked with Martin Luther King in the marches with her family. And on this album that she released in 2016, she has a song called the MLK song. And yeah, it's definitely a beautiful song. Encourage you to go check it out. And I read an interview where she talks about recording that song, and she did share that was one of the most powerful, emotional songs that she has ever recorded. And she said when she was recording this, she had a vision, and she saw Martin Luther King there, and she pushed through to finish the recording. And right after she finished the recording, she just completely broke down. So Mavis Staples, she was a person who was involved in the civil rights movement, still active today, and just produces amazing music. The last album I have to share with you is this album. It's one of my most treasured albums. This is Flor del Pueblo, and this is actually a group that was part of the Chicano movement. And the Chicano movement happened in the 60s, where Chicanos, people who were from Mexican descent, were also fighting for their civil rights. And here in Los Angeles, there was something called the walkouts. So I believe it was 1968, where students went ahead and walked out and demanded rights. They demanded the same rights that everybody else was having. So in 1968, in 2018, I believe it was 50 years that the walkouts happened. And I try to share that, and once an opportunity that I have to share that with my students, that it was because of these individuals in this movement who were encouraged and who finally, had enough and went ahead and walked out and protested, that a lot of changes happened. It was, it was a peaceful protest, but of course, there's always bloodshed, there's always hurt, and there's always pain during those times. So this is Flor del Pueblo. Great, beautiful album. I'm not sure if you can find this anywhere. This is a very rare find. I found little to no information about this record online. So I'm hoping to someday come across somebody who knows more about this album. But it's music from the Chicano movement, who were also part of the civil rights movement during the late 60s. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful song. There is a song on here from Carlos Puebla, who was a Cuban singer-songwriter who was also a great revolutionary. The next bonus question that Mike asked was show your mono records, mono album. Show mono album or your favorite mono album from your collection. I'm going to show a couple. My favorite mono album from my collection is this jazz album by Yusef Lateef, Live at Peps. It's in not the greatest condition, but what a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful record. Encourage you, if you ever see this out in the wild, go ahead and pick it up. It's just an amazing, beautiful, orchestrated and composed music on here. And I have another one that I thought about when they was looking through my collection, and I do have a mono pressing of Surrealistic Pillow. You can see it's, there it is, LPM 3766. Where's the info on this? There it is, LPM. Also not in the greatest condition. However, for some reason, this is not one of my favorite albums at all. Maybe I need to give it more listens, give them a nice try to kind of dive into their stuff. I do have some of their other stuff which I haven't gotten to yet, but I was not blown away by this album, at least. This is a mono pressing of the Surrealistic Pillow record. So those are all the records that I have for this entry, Mike. Thank you for having this contest. I love your channel, love your content. Just wanted to thank you for having this contest, and to for your friendship, and just for being a teacher, man. That's a great accomplishment and a great thing to do for the world. I want to thank all the subscribers, all the new friends who have been, just supporting the channel and communicating with me through these videos. It's been a great experience with you guys. I will be putting out more videos hopefully this week, but I wanted to go ahead and share some albums with Mike at Jam and Vinyl. Sorry, my pronunciation. So if you're not familiar with his channel, I'm going to put the link in the description, and go ahead and subscribe, and just get ready for some great content from Mike. And Mike, hopefully one of these videos you can go ahead and play the drums. I'm really looking forward to that. Hope you're in peace with yourself. Hope you're in peace with everyone else. And God bless you. I'll see you on the next one. Stay firme y adelante.